Good evening, guys. We start at 6:30, so I can see now we are over by 7 minutes. While we're still waiting for others to join, can we in the meantime write our names and provinces on the chat box so that we can get our register? Thank you.
Molweni, Tata.
Dumela ntate.
Ndisebenzisa i-login details zayizolo ndilindile mna apha
emane sithi hayi uhost ibhizi ngomnye umhlangano ndiyaxolisa kakhulu bantakwethu. Masinikwe ke i-direction, ithini direction? Ndiyavakala. Okay.
Uyavakala tata.
Okay, ithini direction ngoku?
Andiyazi uba uphi uchairperson tata, but ngoku singavula tata. So singacela ukuthi asivulele. Ewe tata.
Okay, and then ngomva kokuvula senze njani?
Emveni kokuvula kuzoba i-educational fund tata.
Okay.
And then emveni kwe-educational fund kube ngutata.
Okay. No, siyabulela. Mastandazeni. Nkosi. Lebitso la hao Modimo ntate, Modimo morale, Modimo moya halalang. Amen. Morana Jesu Kriste ke rona bana re sa boetse re tlile ka pelo sefahleho sa hao thapmela tsatsi la kajeno ho tla kopa ya hao kelello tlhonolofatso le bophelo be leng ba hao. Ha ke wena o tla kena mahareng rona o laole ka moya wa hao wa bophelo, moya halallang. Ke bana ba hao morwa Israel ba o ikgethetseng bona ho tsamaisa organisation ya Tasa. Ha ke bona morwa Israel o tla ba sikara, ebe wena o tla ba matlafatsa, ebe wena o tla ba sireletsa ho dintho tsohle tse ba kopanang le tsona. Ba fe matla, o ba fe bohlale morwa Israel, o ba tataise tseleng tsa hao tsa ho loka. Lopolla ke ona thapmela tsatsi la kajeno ditlhonolofatso tse sa le ba lokiseletsa tsona ba soka ba fihla maphelong a nama. Hore o qala bona tjhabana sa se sa hole ka thata ka hodima lefatshe. Ha ke wena morwa Israel o tla re fa kutlwisiso e phethahetseng ya lentswe la hao le thato ya hao. Ho feta moo re etsisa yona morwa Israel, ho feta moo re etse terebe majalefa mmusong wa hao o sa feleng le yena Kriste ha mmoho le bohle morwa Israel ba ileng ba lwana ka botshepala ntweng ena moya. Hlonolofatsa ke hona thapmela tsatsi la kajeno le tshebeletso ya letsatsi la kajeno e laolwe ke wena jwalo ya ka o sa feleng. Amen.
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 Ndiyabulela ndizawunikela kuni bantakwethu.
Thank you, Father. So now, as the SG has told us that we are going to go straight after the prayer to Educational Fund to give us their document. So we're going to hand over to you, Educational Fund.
Greetings, Chair. Is there someone who's going to share my document, or can I get permission to share my screen, please?
Tanogas, will you be able to share the document?
Okay, let me just open it up quickly.
And please, Mashudu, can you please increase your font size of your voice, please?
I think it's up on the screen now.
Okay, Boss Chair. Greetings, Tasa NWC, Molen Otata. My name is Zunop Tulamazigo. I'm part of the Educational Fund Committee. Is my voice, the volume audible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So I will be presenting the proposed amendments to the fund policy. I'll do a 30 seconds kind of brief view of what the fund is for the purposes of the people who don't know what it is. So it's the TCT Educational Fund, which is been operating, I think it's now almost 9 or 10 years. And we've been assisting students with registration fees. So the policy has not been amended for over 5-6 years. So we've added in a few items as the committee to just help us be more efficient in assisting the students, and also to allow us to grow as a fund, so we can, at least in the next 5 years, assist students with tuition. Okay, so if we can scroll down, we haven't changed, we just added on the preamble. I'll see if we can just scroll down for me, please. Yeah, so we didn't change anything. You can go on the first item. We've just expanded on the background and a little bit of brief. So nothing was changed on the first section 1. We can go on section 2. Section 2, the fund's objectives remain the same, which is to assist financially needy students from TACC and Tasa to be able to register at a higher. About this thing, it's so small, I can't see anything. I don't know if we can zoom in. I don't know if there's something wrong with my screen. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't plan on reading it, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. So the objectives of the fund is to be able to assist these students from TCT and TASA to be able to register and get higher tertiary education. So the amendments made are on section 3, which is the application assessment process. So we've broken it down into 2 sections, which guide us in terms of how does the application process go and how does the selection criteria go, because in the previous policy it was 1 item and it wasn't clear in terms of the whole process and the selection criteria. So I've highlighted the new additions, which you can see in red. So based on the experience we've had, most people start reacting to the need for financial needs in January, usually after matric results, or they need to register and stuff. So we've added in a clause that we will allow for late applications in January, and those applications will be processed in February. And then we've also added in a clause that students who have been assisted in the previous years have to apply again if they haven't received funding in the previous year. So the selection, that's the application process that has been expanded. And then with the selection criteria, we've just now noted we will start processing the applications received from July to December, from the 20th of December after the visit to the Chief Apostle and after Thanksgivings, and we will complete all of them by the 31st of January. And then the criteria entails that we will prioritize household incomes that have less than 10,000 Rand a month, and proof of income should be provided. And we've also added in a difference between assessing matric students and tertiary students. So for the matric students, we will only prioritize students that have achieved an average mark exceeding 65%. If you can scroll down, then for the tertiary students, we will be looking at students that achieve more than 60%. So we've just seen the trend over the last couple of years. We'll see the varsity students always get disadvantaged because then it's never easy for them to get an average of 65%. And then we always just fund matric students. And then we also want to be able to support Tasa on campus by students, if they've achieved 60%, the current tertiary students, they should be allowed to register or assisted to register, because, yeah. So if you can scroll down now, thank you. So they've added the item for the tertiary students, so that will be 60%. And then we've also added in a clause that because we are still growing, we are not at the stage where we're able to assist with full tuition. We now require from this year on all applications, or as the policy will be approved, all applications should provide proof of applications to at least 2 bursaries, including NSFAS. because when the problem, you would see people think that we will fund their studies. We register them, and now it's a problem. Like, we don't know what to do because they don't have money for tuition, and it didn't apply next. So it's going to be one of our requirements. And then we've also added in 2 clauses to say that we will be prioritizing undergraduate studies over postgraduates at the discretion of the committee and the Tasa NEC. And postgraduate students will be considered if their final undergrad marks are exceeding 65%. We've seen a lot of postgraduate students applying, and based on the way it's happening corner, postgrad studies are becoming some sort of like diploma, therapy or honor. So we want to make an allowance to support those students who want to get at least a postgrad, but will be only considered after we've sorted out donkey undergrads that meet the criteria. Okay, so then I think it's 4. I can't see. The zooming is too much. What is the nature of it? Okay, so item number 4, which is the nature and extent. So the nature and extent of the financial assistance, we've added in 2 clauses. The first one is to say that after we've covered the registration fee, based on the amount of money we have left, we want to assist students that qualify with at least 10% of their tuition fee over and above the registration fee, to be able to encourage us as a committee to spend at least 70% of the available funds, because it wasn't in the policy. So we will just assist with the registration fee. So we want to make room for, if we have extra money, we will be assisting tuition, and it can be at least 10% and more if we are able to. And that will be at the discretion of the committee and the Tasa NEC, which is how far do we go with the funds that we spend in the financial year. Yeah, you can scroll down. I think it's item 5 that's coming up. So financial sources, we've kept the same because it's still relevant. We just need to tap into all those financial sources. Can you scroll down? Scroll down. Okay. Then scroll up, please. Section 6 at the beginning of section 6. Yes. So for section 16, we have the how the administration of the fund is. So it's still kept the same at the top level. So we are led by the chief apostle at the top, and then this financial this administration. Oh, I can't see. I don't know what's wrong with my screen, but this document is so tiny on my screen. I think I'm just gonna open my screen. Okay. If you can just zoom in and you can see the what do you call it? The diagram. It will be easy for me to explain. I think people can follow it better. Okay. Yeah. So we have the chief apostle at the top, and then we're supposed to have then the president of KCC, 2 apostle board members, 2 KCC NEC members, 2 youth KCC NEC members, 2 Tasa NEC members, and 2 Tasa PEC members that form the bursary advisory board. So the amendments we've made at the committee level is adding 2 extra portfolios, which is the administrator and the so they are highlighted in red. What's the other one? So it's the administrator and the fundraising coordinator. So in the previous policy, the chairperson and the administrator was 1 person. And then the marketing coordinator and fundraising coordinator was 1 position. Over the years, we've noticed it takes a lot of strain on the chairperson to be doing all the administrative work. Like, it makes no sense. Like trying to take minutes and making sure it doesn't work. So I've added in those. So we've added in those 2 portfolios, and the duties are outlined here. I think the document has been shared. We would appreciate some feedback on the duties. I don't know if I should read them, but I think I'm just highlighting all the additions that have been made in the document, and that's the end of the amendments, the proposed amendments to the policy document. Thank you.
Over to you, Avi.
Oh, I'm having problem with my mic. Thank you. Thank you to the financial educational fund team. So now we're gonna go straight to the questions. I hope, guys, you do have questions, because this is our policy as Tasa. So I'm expecting you guys to have like questions. So I'll just give you like one round of question, only one round because of time. We won't have the second round. So you like, guys, you have one time to ask question. So can I take the hands? I'm not sure if I will be able to see hands since there is a document that is being shared. Otherwise, if I cannot see your hands, just unmute yourself and speak. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll be able now. So can I get the hands? Okay, I see no hand. Okay, so just to save time, I think everyone is captured. So I do have one question though. I'm not sure if I am allowed to ask. So it's not related to the amendments that you guys did, but I just noticed that in previous years, you were students from CPUT that were funded by our bursary. So I just want to know, how do you know, like how do you check? Because in CPUT, you can register without paying any fee. So I just want to know, like, do you guys also pay for CPUT student as well, or you don't even check that the university, like if the university, like for inside CPUT, you can register without like paying the fee, the registration fee. So do you guys know those things, like you just find anyone who comes to you and who meet the requirements? So that's the question I have for you guys. So it's not related to amendment that you did. So I'm not sure if to ask that question. Yeah.
Thank you, Bao, for your question. I will answer for the current situation.
Okay, I have one hand. I can see one hand from KZN. Where is it now? Okay, I think it disappeared. Yeah, the hands is no longer there. So I think there is no question from the.
I'm here. I just lowered my hand.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question about this TSC Education Fund. Since it's a partial bursary, let's say a student applied for 2 bursaries, which is the TSC fund, and then maybe NSFAS, and then NSFAS replied late. Like, if the student is awarded NSFAS now, does the registration money go back to the TSC fund so that it can be able to fund other students without funding? or does the student get 2 bursaries?
Thank you, Dadetu, for your question. So that hasn't happened when they get funding, they pay back. But the thing is that they sign a contract and they owe the fund money. So whether they paid when they get Nes Paswabo or they paid when they start working, it has been left for the students to decide for themselves. But the purpose has been that to assist the students so they're not left out when everybody's registering the new spaces that was cut because they couldn't register when they needed the funds. I hope that answers your question. So it's not like they have 2 bursaries. We just help most of them just to get to school. And most of the time some plan comes up and so to the school.
Okay, I hope that we're gonna move straight to our leaders, the NEC, to give us their input. Over to you, NEC.
Greetings to the house at large. I'd like to greet Tasa and all the spiritual officers, Tasa. Can I please request that Uche share the constitution of the ATSM? And then meanwhile, Uche is putting on a constitution Tasa. I'd also continue to greet the NEC, to greet the PECs, the PECs, the alumni of Tasa, as well as the members of the association. So what's going to happen, what I'm going to do is to do a brief presentation on the Constitution. It's a very big document. I'll try to summarize because I'm not a person of many words, and just so everyone can get a glimpse of what is happening in there. Can everyone switch off their mics? Thank you. So I'll just do a brief presentation on the constitution of the ATSM, because yesterday we got a glimpse that some people are not aware of the constitution of the ATSM. So the constitution is still a draft document, meaning it is not an official document. And in majority of the institution, it cannot be utilized for anything. So now we need to amend the constitution so that it fits and it defines the organization being the ATSM. Okay, so this constitution, it was drafted by the first working committee that was working with the ATSM. So in some of the parts, it's just a copy and paste of how the student politics works in most of the majority of the universities. So I think also yesterday, she actually spoke about something that is really important, which was the statement that the problem or the statement question of whatever policy that you're going to discuss. So I think here also it should be a thing of Ndobana. We're going to speak about a constitution that is going to guide the program of the ATSM. How do we implement ATSM in our institution? And the constitution is usually a Bible of each and every organization. So now I'm just going to do a presentation on a draft constitution that exists, as well as small amendments of the NEC. And then after that, everyone in this house, just like how we have agreed basezokuyenza ngayo in the provinces, they're going to go back and discuss the constitution based on the province statement into saying, okay, in this preamble, in this section, this is what we think should define ATSM as far as we know about 18 ATSM and the ATM. So I'm going to put amendments as I go on, as well as, you know, trying to give a very brief summary of what does this constitution entails. So it has 29 sections. It has 29 sections, which is the first is the preambles, and the first it defines what the ATSM is, and then it actually defines what ATSM is. It speaks about the values of the ATSM, which is underpinned by Christian values and principles of fairness, transparency, fairness, social, and all of that. And then also it notes that ATM, the amount of hate speech in the political, social, and economic arena of all South African constitutional violating has reached uncomfortable levels of God-fearing Christians. So basically, guys, which is the province statement of this constitution has to define of who are we as the ATSM. So, like it has been stated so many times that the ATSM, basically, we are trying to have leaders that are God-fearing. And I mean, God means different things to many religions. So EHSM also as well is a faith-based organization. It's not a Christian-based, it's not Islamic, but it's a faith-based organization that has a spiritual head. And our spiritual head, you know, but it's the chief apostle. Can everyone who has their mic on, please switch off their mic, the disturbing. Can you please switch off your mics? Can you please switch off your mics? Yeah, and so ATSM is formed in response to those unbearing South African realities. We know how our country is like, and you know, if anyone is familiar with the concept of ATSM, with concept of ATM. So ATSM is going to be different from Tasa. Tasa, we are independent in some way, but ATSM, we are not really independent. We are dependent on the mother body. We have a mother body, which is ATSM. So meaning whatever that you're going to do should be aligned to what the mother body is saying. So we know what the underlying conditions are in South Africa. And that's what we are trying now to address in the micro level, which is the institution. So we know whatever is happening in the institution reflects what is happening in the national, because we come from the nation before we are in the institution. And then so South Africa came to perceive politics as the dirty game. And that also one thing that we are trying to, you know, to redefine, because we are not trying to say politics now are a dirty game. So now we're trying to say it is just rendering services, but aligned to God. So meaning we are doing things from the spiritual head, which is the chief apostle. Okay, please can you go to the next page, Chair, the second page. Yes, and so these are the principles of the Constitution. And then while we're discussing a Constitution, we thought that, okay, fine, the Constitution should have the principles, and then it should have the values as well. And then we suggested that the values should be about the, so the ATSM says the values are puts SA first, and then we suggested that the values should be puts student first. So it shouldn't really differ from the ATSM, from the ATM. And then, okay, I think because of time, I'll just go on the amendments that we made, and then everyone else can just go through the Constitution. Like I said, it's how many? It's 29 sections. Okay, please go to section 4. Section 4. Okay, so the section 4 of it's the membership. Firstly, they spoke about on section 4 point. Okay, 4.3, they say that the members shall be expected to pay the subscription fee as determined by the National Congress. And we thought that since the ATM is no longer African Transformation Congress, it's African Transformation Movement, then there's no need for us to use the term Congress. So instead of the National Congress, we have the National Convention. So there on 4.3, it says the members shall be expected to pay the subscription fee as determined by the National Convention. And then please go to the next page, Chair. The last page. Okay. No, last page, not last page, but last page of the membership. 4.4 yes. Okay, so the last section is 4.12. So we suggested that we add 4.3, which says that the members shall be expected to pay the 20 Rand subscription fee as determined by the National Convention into ATSM national account. So meaning that at one point, if the ATM allows us to have our own national account, then we can have a national account where members pay the subscription fee to the national account. Yes. And then I think it's still 4.4. Please go to 4.4. Sorry about that. Not all over. 4.4. So 4.4 says that dual or multiple membership by individuals shall be welcomed, provided by policies and programs of the state organization to which a member shall belong to or may wish to belong to any hostile to those of the organizations, comma, and it says, but, so we add after the comma, but shall be restricted to other political organizations. So meaning, even if you are part of any other organization that is on campus, but you cannot be part of many organizations, you can't you cannot be part of many like political organizations, but you're limited to being part of ATSM if you are being part of the ATSM, but you cannot be ATSM and PASMA at the same time. So you can be part of PASMA and then be part of other organizations that are not political on campus. And then on 5.1.3, yes. So 5.1.3, it says that it submit proposals or statements to the branch, to the region, province, and the NEC, provided such proposals or statements are submitted to the appropriate structures. So we suggest that the regional should be excluded from there. So we can only have the branch, the province, and the NEC proposals. Same goes with 6.1. 6.1, it defines the organogram of the ATSM, which, please quickly go to 6.1, Chair. Oops. Okay, so 6.1, it defines the organogram of the ATSM, right? So it speaks about the national convention that elects the NEC committee, the provincial convention, which elects the provincial executive committee. Please go to the next page. And now the branch biannual general, which elects the branch executive committee. So on this section, if you can just notice, it doesn't now mention the regional as it did in 5.1.3. So now we want to exclude the regional structure and only remains with the three, which is the branch, provincial, and the national. And then on 6.1.3, it speaks about the branch biannual general meetings that elects the BECs. So we also want to suggest the biannual means that every 6 months. So now we want to suggest that it elects annually, not biannually on 6.13. Yes, and then we go to 8.2.5, which says that the National Convention will be convened at least every 5 months. And then we suggested that it be limited to 3 years. Every 5 years, we suggested that it be reduced to 3 years. 5 years is a long time, also considering the fact that the ATSM is a new political party. So to say 5 years is very stretchy. So we suggested that it goes to 3 years. So that will be us from us. So like I said initially, that the constitution is made up of 29 sections. So it means that each and every one of us should go back to the sections of the constitution and submit those sections to the current working committee, each provincially. And also the statement problem should be in Deobana. We're trying to create a constitution that is very different from the rest of the constitution that are currently in our institution. What sets us apart? What is it that we want to say that sets us apart? There's also a term that is utilized in the constitution, which says Jehovah Lord. So we also want to change the Jehovah Lord term into a spiritual head. So can we also change the Jehovah Lord into spiritual head? So we want to have a constitution that is very inclusive of all the religious backgrounds, and also that is very firm on the faith-based concept, because that's also what we want to change, as the ATSM is always, trying to put out there that we are a faith-based organization, and we want people that have ingqondo kaThixo or ingqondo of the source that leads people. Because if you do not have a source, then you are going to lead abantu into a wrong direction. And that's also what we want to take from the motherboard into the institution, because that's the problem that we are facing, that abantu, they want to resemble zonke ezinye political parties. So as a city, we want to have the inputs from other provinces and other branches. We want you guys to go and now discuss based on that province statement. constitution yet, yes, it should be a constitution and should look like a constitution, but now it should clearly state, it should clearly show we are different from all other political parties that exist in our campuses. Now, how do we differ from other political parties? That should be what guides us as we are discussing this constitution. Let's just go through the constitution and check if it aligns and all of that. Lastly, sorry about that. There was also a section on the constitution of the logo. Quickly, so the logo yet is not that complicated. The logo has the star. So the star is divided into 4 segments. So we actually say that a logo should clearly defines the logo yethu and like ichaz by ithethukthini, and then give a meaning about what do we want as the organization by iminisha. So we have the star, which is divided in 4 segments. So the 4 segments, we suggested that it says the enlightenment and the wisdom and the guidance by the spiritual head. And then we have the motto, the mortarboard head, which promotes excellence and holistical and produces holistical competent graduates. And then we have a hand holding a pencil, which is an inclusive education for all in peaceful academic environment. Yes, that will be it for us. So I think I've actually defined and also explained why we're having this presentation, because we want you guys to have a problem statement, and when you go to discuss this draft, now you have something that guides you. So that was it from the NEC. So that was the first part of the NEC inputs, and then Uche will give the rest of the input. Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session.
Thank you very much, SG. So, Pausayamo.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you, Nopala, for that deliverance. I'd like to greet the Chief Apostle, the apostles present here, Otata Bonke, no Mama, and all members that are present here today, as well as the structures. First and foremost, I think this is the first national gathering that we're having this year. And we are grateful to see that there are still Tasa members. There are still people that identify as Tasa members, as well as leaders. We are cognizant of the fact that we are still in the process of registration, trying to settle in the institutions of higher learning, as well as various other factors and challenges that we are facing. But we really appreciate the attendance and as well as the participation in the preparation for this symposium, as well as in participation during the symposium. We are also cognizant of the fact that this is a one-of-a-kind symposium. We've never had a symposium virtually, and we were presented with much challenges and difficulties and technicalities. But what we want to say and assure the members in general is that when you are not doing anything, you cannot improve. If you don't want to improve, do nothing. Therefore, with this being said, we want to say that we are grateful that we are doing something and we have a starting point so that we can improve. So we know exactly where we to improve, for future symposiums that are virtual. God forbid we want to meet. But we also saying that we saw Guti where Aposibetagale corner, and we want to assure you that it is not it was not anticipated, and we have tried to navigate the situations as much as we could. The purpose and the purpose and the importance of the policy symposium of Tasa is that it is a gathering whereby we sit and discuss and review and amend policies of the organization as and when they are needed. And it is important that when in preparation and in the policy symposium, we are aware and fully cognizant of what each policy entails in detail. This is important because it will help us as leaders and members of the organization to know exactly the policies that guide us, the policies that are relevant in whatever situation that we are facing. For example, we have the policy, the educational fund policy, which was highlighted that it was last reviewed 5 years ago. Things have changed, things have developed. I mean, the organization has developed, and there are circumstances that are unique and are relevant today that needs to be incorporated in our policies. So it is the process of policy reviewing. It's not an event, but it's an ongoing process. Hence, we have requested that the point of departure from here on forward, in preparation for the conference, let us sit down with these policies. Let us see where the amendments have been suggested, and where necessary, those amendments will be adopted at the national conference. Now, the point, the next step that we are going to follow after this, each policy that was presented here today will have its own commission or committee that will be responsible of gathering all amendments and inputs and add-ons that are necessary for that particular policy, and they will draft them in the sense that when we go to the conference, we know exactly what amendments or add-ons are suggested for each policy, so that we limit the engagements at the conference, but it will just be a process of adopting or not adopting certain amendments. To close off, because we want to hand over to Tata enough time for the next session, we are facing the National Conference 2022, and it will be a conference that will be physically held in the Gauteng province. We believe in the Johannesburg region. We are sincerely and humbly asking everyone that is represented today to avail themselves to physically attend that conference. It is a significant conference because it's a conference that will actually be held under more normal circumstances, where more delegates will be allowed to attend because of eased lockdown restrictions. It is a conference that we think it is very important for the revitalization of branches. It is a program that is, it is a conference that is important for the reignition of the fire that exists at Tasa. So we humbly request Bandagwetu Kuti, in preparation for that conference, let us also remain in prayer, and let us also go to that conference with thanksgiving in our heart that through all the trials and challenges and tribulations that were faced by the organization, by us personally, and in our personal lives, but we're still here remaining, and the organization still exists. It is not through our wisdom, it is not through our might, it is not really through our own thinking and capacities or abilities, But we firmly believe that it is through the grace of the Lord, the chief apostle. So really, Bandagwetu, we want to implore you that let us attend that conference in numbers. Let us size ourselves ukuthi sisekhona and sibangakanani, and let us craft a way forward as to how do we best move forward in order to make sure that the organization grows in leaps and bounds. In those few words, I'd like to thank the advisory board as well for their never-ending guidance, their attendance to this program, as well as our spiritual fathers who are always there to guide us in whatever that we do. Thank you very much to the members that have attended. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you too in the national conference. Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Association, Chigelele. Before I hand over to Tata to give us a service, so just to add to what our Chairperson is saying, guys, in order for the conference to be successful, it's a physical conference. We need to pay our registration. So without registration, then we cannot have the conference that we want. We cannot even have the conference at all if we don't pay our registration. So the cutoff date was the month end of February for everyone to be fully registered, and all the branches were supposed to be registered by the end of this month. So can we please try to work on that? Let's make sure that we do register so that we can have our beautiful conference. And I'm sure everyone needs to sit down and sing as association those lovely songs. So in order for us to go back there, we need to pay our registration. So with those words, I'm trying to encourage us to pay our registration. So now it's time to hand over to our fathers to give us the following session. Over to you, Dad.
Tata, your mic is on, but there seems to be no sound.
Hello.
Yeah, Brad.
Uyandiva ngoku?
Yeah, Brad.
I was saying I saw a name that says Vuyo. I wonder if it's Vuyo, the president of ATM. If it's him, can we award him some few minutes to say something before sivalela ngaphandle? Can someone check that for us?
Vuyo, are you the president? I suspect banguye Tata.
Hayi makathethe nathi kaloku. Asinawuthetha ngeorganization yakhe singabantwana angaphefumli. Phefumla mongameli.
Sorry Tata, ndinguya nguvuyo umongameli.
Okay. All right. Siyabulela ke bantakwethu, without waste of any time. uThixo uyawusikelela konke esiyakufunda namhlanje kude kube phakade. Amen. Sizawufunda from the scripture of Proverbs chapter 16. Sawuthatha nje ivesi benye. Then uThixo uzawusandisela from there onwards. Ifundeka ngolu hlobo. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So, hiyo ivesi esiyawutsha kuyo namhlanje. Ezinye siyazifumana njengoba siqhuba ngenkonzo. apha umpostoli oyinhloko usinika isolution yazo zonke ingxaki esinazo ezindlini, esinazo ezikolweni, kuma-organizations nakwi-communities esiphila kuzo. Uthi utata apha, uma uThixo ekholiswa zindlela zendoda, uThixo umxolelanisa noTshaba lwakhe. So that simply means njengabantwana bakaThixo okwethu ukukholisa uThixo. Once simkholisa uThixo, then zonke problems zethu ziphelile. Let's talk about enemies. Enemies ngabantu abafuna ukukubona uphansi, into mhlambe abantu abafuna ukukubona ufile, abantu mhlambe abangafuna ukukubona uphumelela ebomini, noba yintoni. Your enemy can be something that is within you, within your mind, within your blood, in the form of viruses, bacteria, or maybe shortcomings umuntu onazo ngokwengqondo njengoba nifunda pha esikolweni. The fact that you study the whole year and zonke izinto you store them in your, I don't know, I can't have the right term, but maybe in your subconscious mind or in your mind. But the day you exam mawufuneka ubhalile, fumaniseka ukuba ingqondo yakho doesn't retrieve the correct answers. That is an enmity, because at the end of the day, ukungapase kwakho esikolweni kukubuyisela in the same class, or it's really failing you. So even izifo zikufuna ufile, izifo zenza umzimba ungafunctioni kakuhle. Then we have i-enemies ezingabanye abantu neminye imimoya ekhoyo apha ngaphandle. So to solve all those things, ukuthi zingabikho sikwazi uphila ubomi obu-right, kufuneka thina sikholise nje uThixo. So you don't have to face anything, you don't have to face anyone, you don't have to confront anyone and try to negotiate them or engage them. What you need to do is to please God. When you please God, God will reconcile you with your enemies and make all your enemies to be at peace with you. Yintoni ke ekholisa uThixo? uThixo ukholiswa yimimiselo yakhe okanye umthetho wakhe. Number one, let's look at it, maybe taking it from one point to the other. Let's look at size 4. Size 4, basically, it talks about ukukhupha izishumi neminikelo. And phaya uThixo uyalila pha uthi nindiqhathile nina kususela emihleni yoyihlo anayigcina imimiselo yami. Uthi buyelani kum nami ndibuyele kuni. So it means uba ukhupha isishumi kunye neminikelo, you are in the presence of God. You put your life in the hands of God. Uba kuThixo noThixo uba kuwe. So that pleases God, that si reconcile naye. We should reconcile our souls with God. We should also be submissive kwi-ordinances zikaThixo nakumithetho kaThixo. So when you reconcile yourself with God by contributing tithes and offerings, that simply means uyamkholisa uThixo, uyamonwabisa, uyampliza uThixo. Then we have the second one, the second principle. It says we are the stewards of the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, or the gospel of our Lord. So sihambisa ivangeli, because that was the initial purpose yokuthi uThixo makathume uKristu phezu komhlaba. Ithi incwadi yeBhayibheli, wenjenje uThixo ukulithanda ihlabathi wancama wathumela indodana yakhe ezelwe yodwa ukuba iloyo okholwa kuyo angabhubhi, angagwetshwa, kodwa azuze ubomi obungunaphakade. So if thina siyamjoyina uThixo koluphulo lokuba makuhanjiswe indaba ezilungileyo, makushumayelwe ivangeli eyindlela yokureconcile abantu bonke babuyele kuThixo lo badalileyo, babuyele embusweni okanye ebukumkanini bukaThixo, that will also please God. It will also please God. Eyesithathu into ithatha ngexesha. So leye xesha yilaa nto ukuthi let us be consistent in what we are doing. Don't do izinto ezilungileyo namhlanje esizimiselwe nguThixo, ngomso Uyaqhubeka awusazenzi. You are not on time. You are not keeping time when you do that. And xa sigcina ixesha, because we are stewards of time talents, we need to know ukuba ixesha elilobomi lixesha esilinikwe nguThixo, and God has a purpose with each and every one of us. And uba thina siligcinile ixesha likaThixo, kuma senza izinto ezifulfilla the purpose of our existence. Uma senza izinto ngokuyalelwa nguye nokuthunywa okanye ukuxelelwa nguye uThixo. So eyokugqibela luthando. We know that love is God and God is love, and whosoever that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God is also complete in him. So xa uqhutshwa luthando lukaThixo, hayi uthando lwethu okanye inkanuko, iimfuno zethu, but if siqhutshwa luthando lukaThixo ukwenza yonke into esiyenzayo njengoba sesifundisiwe ngothando lukaThixo, safundiswa ngobomi obutsha, sathi sazalwa kabutsha ngomoya oyingcwele. If anything that we do siyenziswa luthando, siyamkholisa uThixo, because kwayena uThixo uluthando, and nabo bonke abahleli oluthandweni bazalwa nguThixo, so bangoThixo bona, bangqondonye kunye noThixo. So bazalwane bami, into ebendifuna ukuthetha ngayo namhlanje without ukuya kade ukuthi, as we know that we are having challenges in life, we are having problems in life, sineminqweno futhi, sinezinto esirhalela ukuba nazo, sinezinto esifuna ukufikelela kuzo. There is only one solution. Please God, and God will ensure that ukunika zonke imfuno zenhliziyo yakho, all the desires of your heart. If you rejoice in the Lord and you keep on pleasing the Lord, we keep on holding on steadfast kwimimiselo yakhe nakwi-ordinances zakhe, sihleli simonwabisa, he will make sure that sonke sonwabile. You know, this is like a cutting edge solution for me. Ithe xa ndiyiva utata esinika yona, you know, sinezinto sizama amacebo, size nee-plans, you know, zokuthi ezinto sizisolva njani, ezinye sifuna ukonfronta nee-enemy, sifuna uzilwela, sifuna uthini, ezinye you just don't know, they are just frustrating, but they leave you with an unpleasant feeling. Ndifumana ukuba hayi man, thina musisisikelelwe, thina sikuThixo, noThixo ukuthi okwethu ukuthi masihlale nje sikholisa uThixo, simonwabisa, sikholose ngaye, senza zonke izinto uThixo athi sizenze, noba yintoni, noba it's ATSM, noba yi-programs zikaTasa, noba yintoni esiyenzayo, as long as uThixo athi makwenziwe into ethile, masiyenzeni sikhululekile, because we know for sure that nathi izinto esizirhalelayo nezinto esizithandazela kuThixo, uThixo uyawusinika zona. You know, le nto yokuhlala ku-size 4, konje kuThasa sina-size 4 sino-size 5, it's fine, but ziyathelelana, ziyahambisana. You know, into yokukhupha izishumi neminikelo. Bantakwethu, ndingumpostile ngokuthanjiswa ngumpostile oyintloko nokuthunywa nguye. Ndiyayazi intlungu yokuphila uyinceku ethanjisiweyo nomntwana onikwe okanye umntu onikezwe umoya oyingcwele ubungakhuphi ishumi. I know I've tasted that life several times, several years, and ndiyabazi futhi nobumandi bokukhupha izishumi. Ndiyayazi intlungu yokungahambisi ivangeli siqokelela abantu sibabizele kuThixo nasebusweni bukaThixo. Ndiyabazi futhi nobumandi bokungena indlu nendlwana uyoshumayela ivangeli leqiniso, ivangeli loxolo, nevangeli lokuvuka kwabafileyo. You know, uma ufunda ukungenzi ngokwelizwi likaThixo, uzenza uJudas, because uJudas wayethandwa lamfo, wade waphakanyiswa wenziwa i-executive member kwicawe kaYesu, wanikwa esona sihlalo esiphezulu sasikho, but uthando wayethandwa ngalo uJudas akazange alamkele, akazange alazi, akazange alamkele, akazange futhi ahlale kulo. So tonight I want to encourage you as the children of God, as the beloved in our Lord Christ, that if uThixo ezitshile kuwe, wazibonakalisa kuwe, wade wakunika ubungqina bobukho bakhe ebomini bakho, bambelela kulonto ungayeki because akanawuhlala eyenza la. So lento yokuthi sinikwe into singayenzi kungaveli into sizawufana noAdam. uAdam kwathiwa kuye xa ukhe watsha uza kufa nokufa. Wathi uAdam wakaveli into wangaboni kufa kwangaveli necoffin. But at the end of the day his soul was cast and excommunicated futhi nasegadini apho uThixo wayembeke khona. So nathi bantakwethu masiyiboneni le nceba uThixo asinike yona, masiliboneni oluthando uThixo asithanda ngalo, sihlale kulo, sihlale kule nceba, sibambelele kuyo yonke into esiyenzayo. Masilweleni ukukholisa uThixo wethu ophila enyameni, umpostile oyinhloko onguKristu ophilayo, esiphila ngaye nathi esisikelelwa ngaye. So with those short words, bantakwethu, uThixo makanisikelele anigcine, aninike zonke izinto enizidingayo ebomini ukuze nilwe ngokuthembakala kule mfazwe kamoya, nikwazi ukuyimisa i-ATSM phakathi kwento kanje kwe-Institutions of Higher Learning, nikwazi ukusapota uphulo luka-ATM lokuzisa uxolo apha eSouth Africa nakumhlaba wonke. Masimeni silwe. This is a war. Masilweni sinqobe. It's not an issue of uyafuna noba awufuni. Sibonile ngoku, you know, there are so many things I can talk about, but I don't want to waste your time. Jongani ngoku abantu bafundile bahlele emakhaya ne-certificates zabo. So you are the ones who feel that pain yokuthi nifunde for several years, nitsale kanzima, ningalali, ni-cross-nighter, nilwela a certificate. Now ugqiba ukufumana ezo certificate kuthiwa ayonto yanto lanto akho la nizawuphangela khona. Look at now baphungule abantu ama-professionals amaninzi kanjani emisebenzini. Companies are closing down. The government yenza sure ukuthi kuyakhathwa. So ATM is the only solution endingakhuthaza ukuba masimeni siyakhe ATM, siyakhe ATSM because ikamva lethu, that is our future. So bafowethu nani bodade wethu, uba siyamkholisa uThixo, uThixo uyawusiphumelelisa. Okwethu ukuthi masibambane, sibe ngqondonye noThixo, senze oku athi masikwenze, then the rest zizawulandela. Masifuneni ubukumkani bakhe, masilweleni ukuthi thina masibe phansi kobukumkani bakhe, njengoba esinika esilawula ngemithetho yakhe nangemfundiso zakhe nangemimiselo yakhe. This is the year of restoration. So let us subject ourselves under that restoration so that we may be restored. Sirestorishwa kwintoni na? Sadalwa ukuba sibe sifane sifuze uThixo, sibe ngqondonye noThixo, sibe ngoThixo thina, sikwazi ulawula, sibuse. La mandate nala authority yanikwa kuAdam ikuthi ngoku xa thina sikholisa uNkulunkulu, sikholisa uThixo, sizakwazi ukulawula nantoni na, izinto ezibonwayo nezinto ezingabonwayo, because sidalwe ngolo hlobo, sanikezwa elo gunya. So that authority iyarestorishwa ngaphakathi kwethu qha uma thina sizimisele ukukholosa nokukholisa uThixo. Siyabulela bazalwane bami, uThixo makanisikelele anigcine, aninikeze zonke izinto enizidingayo ebomini benyama nakobu bomi bukamoya. Makenze uThixo ukuthi imizamo yenu nezinto enizenzayo ziphumelele, ithi zonke izinto enizimiselayo zimiseleke, because sinikiwe laa nto ukuba whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Let us start binding now, because we do have the authority to bind. Let us be of one mind with God so that whatever that we bind, it will come to pass. Siyabulela kalawo mazwi, uThixo makanisikelele anigcine ngoku kude kube kunaphakade. Amen. Ndizawunikela kuwe chairperson uba akukho enye into sikwazi ukwenza i-benediction. Enkosi.
Thank you, Tata. So now uthi uTata ukuba inteni indlela zethu zimkholisile uThixo, uyakusixolanisa neentshaba zethu. So we're going to take questions for uTata, then sobane round eyi-1. only one round of questions based on the scripture. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to ask them by provinces or that will take us time. So let's rather just take questions. And anyone on a question, can you raise your hand? Please, Nandi, help me on checking the hands on the participation list.
Okay, Chair. But I don't see anything.
Okay, let's just give them like 30 seconds. Yeah, let's give them like 30 seconds.
Okay. We have a hand from Usiko, chairperson of Tasa.
Okay,
Yeah,
over
but
to you. Over to you, chairperson of the association.
Thank you, Program Director. My question is one. So that once some calls out, we no longer have an obligation of going kuyokwenza uxolo nezijaba zethu okanye siyocela uxolo naso uThixo uyayisota out ngokunokwakhe.
Ndingaphendula.
Yeah, what that was the only question ebesinayo namhlanje.
Yes, Baba. The answer is yes. Because xa ujonga abantu, mandithi I'm offending you, and ubabhitha on a serious note. And ngelo xesha mna bendingayenzi intentionally. Abanye abantu xa ubuya ude man uyandona apha, wena uyavuya yena nguye okonakalayo ke ngoku. So we just doing is sort of into bekum, I pass it on to you. There are so many several occasions lapho ufumaniseka ukuba yenzeka ngolo hlobo. But I'm not saying msutsha ukutya kwakho kakuhle ukuze umzimba wakho uqine. I'm not saying msuba msuziphatha kakuhle ebantwini. Yeah, I understand Alanto. I'm also not saying over because uchaba kufuneka understand when we are having a difference doesn't mean that silochaba. We just don't see eye to eye. Uchaba yinto efuna ukukubulala, yinto efuna ukukubona ungaphumelelanga, yinto ethi xa uvela pha ayifuni nokukujonga emehlweni, you know, and ide ibe ne-action eyithathayo ngamanye amaxesha kuba masifumane inkabi sisuse ubabisayam. So I don't know whether ndikuphendula kakuhle. I'm saying let us know uchaba olufuna ukusibulala nokusenzakalisa, uchaba elingafuni ukusiphatha ukuba siphumelele. I can make a lot of examples, but the statement is true. Uba wena ukholisa uThixo, uThixo uyakuxolelanisa neentshaba zakho, uyakwenza ukuba uphile ngoxolo kunye neentshaba zakhe, and uyakwazi ukuyenza uThixo loo nto. Enkosi.
Thank you, Tata. I hope, chairperson of the association, you are answered. So before we go on with our agenda, before I hand over to NEC to give us means of verifications and...
Hello.
Okay.
I want molweni ngicela ubuza tata ne, not in most intshaba zakho is everything that stops you from reaching your potential, or that stops you from fulfilling what you call this, the duties that is to constitute kuba abe glorified. So sometimes mosutata intshaba ikwasithi let's say umzekelo, it sometimes you are told to do some, and then lifike lizothi yenza into ethile wena unto bekhona dothini amazwi amaninzi aphikisana nale nto ingaphakathi kwakho uphele loo nto ungayenzi. So uzixolanisa njani uThixo ngaloo nto? Ziye zithini? I hope ndiyavakala tata. Because
Uyavakala mama.
so
On
ezo ngcinga zifumaniseka uba ilizwi kaThixo litsho kancinci ne, and then there are many other voices that are quite a confusion that stop you from actually fulfilling your duties. Yabo? So xa ezixolanisa, how does, oh yeah, into kunjalo.
Ndiyabulela mntanam, uright lo mbuzo wakho. Uma ungumntwana kaThixo awu-influenswa okanye ukuchokonyiswa zizinto ezi-negative okanye ezi-anti the instruction okanye ummiselo kaThixo. That is your battle to fight. Nguwe kufuneka ukhethe eyakho indlela okufuneka uhambe ngayo. If wena ufuna ukukholisa uThixo, then uthetha ukuba uhamba ngokwelizwi nangokomyalelo kaThixo. Uhamba futhi ngokukhokhelwa ngumoya kaThixo, umoya kaThixo ongaphakathi kwakho. So that one is your choice, whether you choose to be influenced by others against into uThixo akunike yona, okanye wena you choose ukuhlekwa ngabantu noba wenza into elungileyo nento inikwe nguThixo. Apha kule nkonzo okanye kule organization esikuyo sifana nabantu abasesibhedlele. You need to understand that everyone unesigulo sakhe. For the mere fact that you are here, it's because ikhona lento uThixo afuna ukuyilungisa kuwe. So uma sisewadini pha bakhona abantu abakhalayo phaya uve inxeba lakhe lemlilisa. So awunawuthi noma ndiphuma apha esibhedlele ndi-discharge just because someone is crying. It's for you to persevere for a good benefit. So I take it, Leo, it's a battle to fight. It's a choice that you need to make. But your enemies, God will help you with them. That is why naphaya kuthiwa xa uthatha unyawo olunye usiza kuThixo yena uyawuthatha inyawo zibe ntathu. So we encourage that people bahlale elizwini likaThixo benze imimiselo kaThixo irrespective whether baba popular kubangani nakwi-family nakwi-community or not. But let's choose to do the word of God. Let's choose to be in his kingdom. And let's not give ourselves other choices. Let's do exactly as he commands. Then we'll up against him kholisa khona. Enkosi mntanam, I hope I've answered you.
Ewe tata.
Okay. Yeah, bulela tata. So we are closing this item. So we will not take any further questions. So now, before I hand over to NEC, I would like to give like 2 to 3 minutes to our alumni. They have been with us since yesterday and can't batik with it. So I just need to give them like 2 or 3 minutes just to say whatever they want to say to us. They can criticize us. They can tell us if sisakwa satana ndoga Tasa, if they see that senza ngolo hlobo. So I will give it over to you, alumni. Anyone? Okoyo ngaphakathi kwethu to just say something. Any takers? It's a pity andibazi amagama abasive ubani. So awuseyamo, if is there any alumni oyibonayo kwilist yethu, can you just nominate one ozobathethela, if, because I don't want us to waste any time.
Masicele uba usejani. Ndibona yena apha.
Okay, so over to you, Bausechari. Okay, Bausechari. Okay, I can see also Wenzi, Uthando Wenzi. Over to you, Uthando Wenzi.
No, thank you very much, chairperson of the session. Nami ngicela ukubulisa kutata and ngibulise naye wonke umuntu olapha. I don't have much to say tata other than ukubulela to kwi-LSC and ne-team abasebenzisana nabo to organize le symposium. Although i-attendance ingekho ntle, but siyayibulela imizamo abayenzileyo for ukuphinde base-reunite as members of Tasa. Only one thing that I think we've been talking about with Tasa is indaba yokugcina ixesha. We really need to improve loo nto. Sithetha ngaloo nto but akude kube khona change. But other than that, I hope when we go to conference and nakwi-national events ezizayo, indaba yexesha nokustikha kwe-agenda ngalo lonke ixesha sizayilungisa. Other than that, siyabulela ku-NEC ngale event endisenzele yona.
Oh, okay, Enkosi Daram. So without wasting any time, so I will hand over to you, NEC, to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson of the session. Greetings to Otata, greetings to the NEC, greetings to everyone that is here today. We're going to be doing verification, means of verification, and then also the vote of thanks. So the key deliverables and objectives that we had set for this symposium were to review the following policies: a Tasa budget system program proposal, which is still a proposal, and then the Tasa branch manual, which was discussed, the constitution of the ATSM, the code of conduct, as well as the TACC educational fund policy, which was presented today and reviewed. So we've managed to review and amend all of these policies. So there's going to be a team that is going to work in ensuring that when you go to the conference, all the amendments that were discussed in this symposium are presented there so that we can see whether we adopt or not. And then for moving on to the vote of thanks, firstly, we'd like to thank Otata, our spiritual fathers. President CNW is always appreciated, Tasa, as well as your guidance. A special thanks to Utatu Moyo for hosting us for the 2 days. These 2 hours must have not been easy on you, but you were patient with us. We also like to extend our thanks to Usis Mandi, who did our keynote address yesterday, which was very fruitful. Also, thanks to Kandi, who was doing the ATSM induction, the political lecture, to be specific, And then also Ubao Ahosi was doing our financial talk, who taught us about the credit score. And then we'd also like to thank the task team that organized this symposium. It was not easy. If we can all remember, it was postponed last year due to elections, and then we had to do it this year, but the team has been with us. They've been resilient, and they've been working with us tirelessly to ensure that this symposium is a success, and indeed it is a success. And also, importantly, we'd like to thank the members. Without you, we would not have had this symposium, a success. So we really appreciate your attendance. The numbers were very good. And we can see today it dropped a bit, but we really appreciate your presence, and we really appreciate to be a part of this symposium, because it's very important for us to amend the policies that are going to guide the association yet. And then lastly, we'd like to thank the NEC, Thank you to everyone that managed to be a part of us today. Thank you to the alumni. Thank you to everyone, even the ATSM members that managed to join us. Moses Mandi Izolo, as we head to the conference, he said, consider the time of calling, it is now. So as we head to the conference, let us consider the time of calling as leaders at Tasa, and recognize and acknowledge that it is now, and we have to make our mark in realizing iphupha lomposo lenhloko. Thank you so much, Chairperson of the session.
Thank you very much, Nandi. But
It's the first time for everything.
Now it's time to hand over to Otata Basivalele. Over to you, Tata.
Nathi siyanibulela ukuthi nikwazi ukuphumelela kule conference. Qhubani njalo, bambanani, nicengane, ninyamezelane ukuze kwenzeke injongo kaMpostoli Oyintloko. uThixo uyawusikelela konke okwenzeka emakude kube phakade. Amen. Inkosi mayinisikelele nigcine, yenze ubuso bayo bukhanye phezu kwenu, ininikeze uxolo ngoku kude kube phakade. Amen.
Amen.
Akwaba ufefe lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu, ubudlelwane bukaMoya Oyingcwele nothando lukaThixo bawo lingahlala phakathi kwenu manje kuze kube phakade. Amen.
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 Siyabulela kakhulu.
Siyabonga Ngonyaka.
Enkosi baba.
And thank you to Tasa. Let's remember to remain in prayer. Our sealing services are around the corner.
Yes, Dad.